The film begins with showing 4 friends, one of whom was Caleb, and they all jump off a very high mountain. These 4 were different children of the powerful witch family, the bloodline of the family of those witches, i.e. they were from their generation. That's why these 4 also had witch-like powers. Some of the children of their school were partying under the mountain, and these 4 also came here. Now one of their female friends introduces everyone to a girl named Sarah, whom Caleb liked at first sight. Now a boy and his friends come here and start arguing with them about something, and they call Sarah very bad. Seeing this, Caleb's friend uses his witch power, which makes another boy vomit on the same girl who was arguing with him. And seeing this, Sarah and Caleb both start laughing. In the meantime, another boy comes and meets them, whose name is Chase, and he has recently been admitted to the school. But then these 2 found out that the police were coming here, so they all ran away in fear. Caleb and his 4 friends were in a different car, while Sarah and her friends were in a different car. But here Sarah's car broke down, so she asks Caleb for help. But one of their friends, who was the most angry and used his powers again and again, does it here too. With the help of this, he fixed Sarah's car. In the meantime, the police are watching the car of these 4 friends, so they start running their cars quickly. After a while, they drop the car in the valley, which wakes up the police. But if they don't get their car back behind the police for a moment, then they run away from there in front of the police. They also learn this from their powers. Now Sarah and her friends come to the hostel, while the rest of them and Caleb also come to their homes. Caleb's mom was very worried about him because all the witches and their children got their powers at the age of 13. Then at the age of 18, they ascend, i.e. their powers grow, which increases their powers even more. As the witches use their powers, their age will decrease, i.e. they will become old. At a young age, they will look very old. This is why Caleb's mom was worried about him. Because when Caleb's dad's powers grew, he started using his powers a lot, which made him very old. That's why Caleb's mom tells Caleb not to use his powers because she doesn't want to lose him. At least she can do it only when she needs it. There's Sarah and her friends are talking about Caleb and his friends. Her friend Sarah tells her that she is the bloodline of the last 5 witch families. On this, Sarah says where are the 5ths, because she has become a friend of the 4th. Then her friend tells her that the 5th bloodline has died. In the jungle where everyone was partying, the police found a girl's body. When Sarah was bathing in the hostel, she realized that someone was there. She gets scared because she feels like someone is watching her. When she came out to check, there was a broken lamp there. When she was checking, she saw a shadow of a person behind her, who was in the form of smoke at that time, which Sarah could not see. But when she was going to her room, Caleb's friend came there. Sarah tells him everything and they both go to check the washroom, but there is no one there now. Now the news of the child's death was also published in the newspaper. When Caleb was leaving the car, he was talking to his friend on the phone about this. His suspicion went to his friend, who used to get angry the most. Moreover, he used his powers the most. He was also attached to Caleb because Caleb was supposed to be the first to grow the powers. They were talking that at that time, the ghost of the same child comes and sits on the seat next to Caleb, which suddenly turns into a drone and scares him. This distracted Caleb and his car collided with a truck. There was a very bad accident in which the car broke into pieces. Caleb himself also broke down, but then he reattached himself and the car with his powers. He also tells this to his friend. So they get very worried about who will send the ghost of this child to them. Now when Caleb is buying medicine, Sarah's friend comes and asks him to come to the party. The new boy is happy, but Caleb says that he has some important work, so I can't come. Then Sarah tells him to come, I will help you with your work. On this, Caleb agreed and came to an old house with Sarah. He sits Sarah in the car and goes inside the house where the priest is living. Caleb gives medicine to the priest, and here we also see the hands of a man on the chair, which look like the hands of a very old man. When Caleb returns, they go to the club where the party is taking place, and here his other friends are also enjoying. Then Sarah and Caleb also started dancing and enjoyed it a lot. And a group of his angry friends fight. Caleb's friend had won the bet with the help of his powers, and that group was refusing to pay him. Caleb comes here and tries to end their fight, but his friend attacks him with his powers. This angered Caleb, and because he had the most powers, he attacked his friend with his powers. And he says that we don't want to use our powers and not at all. But now Caleb was sure that his stubborn friend had killed that boy. When Caleb was leaving Sarah at home, they both started talking with a lot of emotions on the way. And they also praise each other for their love. At night, Sarah had a strange dream in which some flies came on her legs and clung to her. Then as soon as she saw it, so many flies came there that surrounded Sarah from all sides, which scared her a lot. She saw that these flies were coming out of my friend's insides. Her angry friend also calls his friend and says, "Friend, explain to Caleb that I didn't kill that boy, but I also saw his ghost." The next day, when Caleb came to school, he was very angry with the principal. He also found out that they had a fight in the club last night. The next day, Sarah goes to the library of the school where she learns about magic from the flies. In the book, she sees the same picture as she had seen in the dream. With this, she understands that something is going on with me. A boy in school came and started misbehaving. He had caught Chase, but Chase easily grabbed him by tickling him. Then he puts him down and runs away from there. Caleb was also seeing this thing, which surprised him a lot. The same night, when Caleb is trying to sleep, the ghost of that girl again comes and scares him. Then the next day, he met Chase again. They go to the swimming pool of the school and compete in swimming there. Caleb is about to win, but at the right time, Chase does something that changes the color of his eyes. It happens that Caleb bumps into something under the pool, which makes him unconscious. And in this way he lost, seeing that Chase won. When Caleb regains consciousness, he tries to explain to his friends that Chase has defeated me with magic, because I saw his eyes changing color. But his friends don't believe Caleb's words, because they believed that Chase had no powers. And they tell Caleb to give up. The next day, after class, the principal calls Chase to his office and asks about the death of the same child. The principal's suspicion was on Chase because the police had found Chase's ID behind the child's car. There Caleb and his friend also decide to find out about the ghost of that child. The way they saw Chase behaving, their suspicion was also on Chase. Both friends quietly enter the school and start looking at Chase's details. Sarah finds out that her friend is suddenly so sick that she has to be admitted to the hospital. So Sarah went to the hospital to see her friend, where the doctors tell her that your friend has an infection. Looking at it, it seems like he has been bitten by a lot of flies. Hearing this, Sarah remembers her dream of flies. There Caleb finds out while searching about Chase that his mother had died at a young age. And the woman who adopted him also died when Chase was 18 years old. After reading this, Caleb and his friends suspected that Chase is also a witch like us. And he remembers about that magic book that was taught to him in childhood. That's why all the friends go to the convent together. First of all, they get information about the ghost, after which they read that magic book. They found out that yes, Chase is also a witch. And it is the bloodline of that fifth witch family, which they thought was dead. Knowing this, Caleb asks his angry friend, "Okay, now tell me the truth that you killed that girl." On this, Caleb's friend says, "I swear that I did not kill her. On the contrary, I also saw her ghost. She came to me and bothered me." Hearing this, those friends were convinced. This means that Chase is behind all this. And until now, whatever was going on with them, it was all Chase's plan. Sarah tells Caleb and his friends about her friend's condition. Now Sarah's friend was Caleb's best friend. And after hearing about his friend's condition, he could not resist. He immediately takes his bike and leaves. But on the way, Caleb's friend meets Chase, who breaks his bike with his powers and destroys it. It turns out that Chase is the most powerful, because he has been controlling his powers from the beginning. Here, Caleb's friend tells him not to hurt my friend. This time, Chase says that maybe I shouldn't hurt you, because your friend and Sarah were just a way for the three of you to reach. Now Chase comes to Sarah in the form of Caleb. But when the real Caleb comes, he makes Sarah unconscious by cutting her with flies. Then Chase tells Caleb that if you don't listen to me, I'll kill Sarah. On this, Caleb asks him, "What do you want from all of us?" Then Chase replies, "I still have more powers than you four. But I want to be more powerful. So tomorrow when you will be ascendant, I will take all your powers from you." And yes, I had to kill that kid in the car even though I didn't want to, because he saw me using my powers. But when Caleb refuses him for this, Chase attacks him with his powers. he started beating Caleb. He says that these powers are like a drug for me, which I have become used to. But yes, there are some bad effects of these powers. But if I take your powers from all of you, then those bad effects will be reduced. Caleb explains to him that look, you will get powers by gaining more power. But the age will decrease. Chase doesn't listen to him. He says that it doesn't matter to me. He threatens Caleb that I will kill your friends and all your families along with you. If you don't want this to happen, then I should get your powers tomorrow. Saying this, he leaves. Caleb goes to the hospital to meet one of his friends because Chase beat him a lot that day. When Caleb comes and tells the other two friends about Chase, he advises that we should fight him. But Caleb refused because he knew that we won't be able to win like this. And he left from there. In the hospital, he meets Sarah, who couldn't understand anything. What is happening here? That's why she asks Caleb about it. When Caleb takes Sarah to the same old house where he had come to give medicine before, he shows that old man to Sarah, whose hand we had seen. And he tells Sarah that he is my dad. He is only 40 years old, but due to using so many powers, he grew old soon. Then he tells Sarah everything about himself and Chase. He said that if I give him my powers after my powers grow, I will die. And about this, Caleb also tells his mom and friends. And he says that now I will go to him alone. I will meet him at the party where he will not use his powers in front of others. Saying this, Caleb leaves to go to Chase. But in the middle of the way, Chase comes and attacks Caleb. And he stopped him and brought him to an old house, where Sarah was also unconscious. Chase had kidnapped her. Now Caleb got angry by giving Sarah here. He tries to attack Chase with his powers. And he says that I will never give you my powers. After that, a dangerous fight started between the two. And both were using their powers fully. But here Chase was taking advantage of Caleb because he was more powerful. And with the help of his powers, he starts beating Caleb. Now as night falls, Caleb's powers start to ascend. A very big group of powers starts inside him. Due to this, his powers increase many times, with the help of whom he attacks Chase. But still, Chase was getting stronger. In the meantime, Caleb's mom went to his dad. Says that our son is in trouble. He needs more powers. That's why his dad gathers all his powers and gives them to Caleb. Due to this, a storm of powers came inside him. And now he has become more powerful than Chase, with the help of whom he attacks Chase. And in the end, he becomes horrible. And in this way, his game ends. After which Caleb saves Sarah. In addition, his female friend and friend's condition also improves completely. Now due to the end of Chase, his corpse was not found by the police. After this, Sarah and Gainey leave safely. This movie story also ends here. With their departure,